Yeah.
He's celebrating.
Well, no one will be celebrating, Scott, in San Francisco, as we've just heard at the end of a sentence there from Scott. Hello, it's Peter from the Niners DNA team down in Sydney at 7:30 p.m. on a Monday night. Rod has just finished watching the game an hour ago because of some work commitments. I watched the game live. Scotty was on his way back home. He caught some moments, but doesn't need much. He doesn't need much based on what the media is saying. There's some so just to fill the viewers in, the 49ers again beat themselves 2 times out of 3 this season. It was an abomination of a game, and there are 3 topics to discuss tonight. What went wrong? Who was worse, Jimmy or Kyle? And where to from here? Does anyone else want to kick it off? Well, Rod, what do you think happened tonight, mate?
I wrote a list.
Mate, let's hear it. You know what you should tell the audience what you told me before we came on.
Well, as Pete said before, I watched the game on delay because I had a work commitment today, and I had a bone to pick with Pete because I thought, he and I, our houses are pretty close together, only a couple of kilometres away, and I was in a media blackout the whole day, and turned my phone off, told my kid's wife, don't tell me the score. And I thought Pete should have driven around to my house and stopped me from watching that game. That's how bad it was. He calls himself a mate. I'm not sure.
Mate, I am sorry. And I realize that because your lovely wife, was texting me in place of you saying Rod's on a media blackout. I was about to say, stop him. But anyway, so Rod, tell us your list, mate.
Okay, so this is my list of where we went wrong, and I apologise if I tread on your toes if you've got something. First of all, last night I predicted that one of my biggest fears was Russ would start to get some of his mojo back, and while he wasn't great tonight, and the Denver crowd was still giving him the old Aussie Razoo, he did get some of his mojo back. And there was that play where he did that little shovel pass and extended a few plays with his legs. And he found Cortland Sutton a lot of times, and that was another one of our predictions. So there was that. Losing Trent Williams, and then once we lost Trent, and then I think they brought Javon Moore in for a couple of
Jalen
Moore. And he just got torched a couple of times, and then they went with McKivitz. I thought our third down conversion's terrible. 1 third down conversion.
From 10 attempts.
From 10. And my last one, and, I don't profess to be an NFL coach, but I just think we abandoned the run too quickly. And we said last night, we talked about the number of rushes. We had 19 rushes. They had over 30 rushes. And JWJ he averaged 6.2 yards a carry. So he was going okay. And he only got 12 carries, and we just abandoned the run. Mason came on one carry for 7 yards. I don't understand, particularly when we get the ball back and we had to drive down the field to set ourselves up for a field goal. And we played Jimmy in the pocket, just firing these little darts over the middle, and they got picked off, So they were my keys to the loss.
I think that was really insightful, and I applaud you for not getting emotional. Rod, you do have a good solid head on your shoulders there, mate. So abandoning the run was, I think, probably problem number 1, because you're right. Jeff Wilson Jr. was good, and there's a couple of Rob Stats Guerrera sort of saying that we shouldn't be playing him. He makes yards and he doesn't get injured. He runs into the teeth of the defense. And he runs between the tackles, and he gets up and goes again. So 19 times when we're a 30-run team. So Kyle again shit the bed, right? But my biggest thing is there was so much, and it even got to me. So I did a show with Ryan Henson on Wednesday saying we'd get beat because it's a trap game. Russell Wilson will do something and we'll beat ourselves. And then last night when we did our preview show, I'd seen Jimmy, I'd seen the change in his outlook and him willing to stick it to Kyle. And I thought, you know what, this Denver team's no good. I guess I'll let my fandom get the better of me, and all those locker room people, especially when Kyle when Juice, who again is one of my, I love, and thank God we went to him for a first down conversion. Sorry, but that was the 1 third down conversion to Juice.
No, I thought it. You sure it wasn't to our number 15?
No, you're right. You're right. It was to Juwan Jennings.
Yeah.
The thing is that the vets and Juice, and when Jimmy came back on, it felt like 49ers football. And tonight, to me, felt like 49ers football with Jimmy G at the helm, right? And I think the two of them, and I don't want to place, I think both of them, Kyle and Jimmy, have both equal, but we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. Both equal blame to Tote, but it just was so frustrating as a fan to watch the game after the first half only putting 7 points on the board and Jimmy missing Debo, having Debo have to fall around. He hits him in the bucket going forward. He just goes for a touchdown. There was the penalties again that hit us. But as the game went on, the play calling just got worse and worse. Jimmy got his happy feet back. He was missing people outside. He was missing people high. And these are all the things that I was willing to live with Trey, right? Okay, I thought with Trey we'd make the playoffs. If we didn't make the playoffs, if we were like a 9-8 team or an 8-9 team, we got through the season, and we developed Trey into a passer, right? But a 9-year vet who has been on the team for 6 years is still making rookie mistakes. He said in his press conference, and again, the thumbnail on this video is of Jimmy smiling. At the end of the game, he was high-fiving, backslapping blokes from the other team. I don't know how you could be smiling and be at all. I would just I'd take my helmet off and I would go straight to the locker room. Just think about if the way that we played there, if that's the way that we played as a halfback or a quarterback for our teams. And I had a train of thought there before I threw in that last section. But again, at the podium, he didn't own his mistakes. He smiled at the podium. Kyle, again, when questioned about his play calling, was negative and smug. And one of Jimmy's excuses was, I've just spent a week with these guys. It's been 6 years. Come on.
The playbook doesn't change that much.
It doesn't change. It hasn't changed. It's a shame because I got the love back for 49ers football after being so listless and melancholic last week after Trey went down, and then got some energy back due to Jimmy showing some life, and then we dished that up. And I think you're right, Scott, as you're about to say. I won't give it away, but I'll throw it to you, Scott. You had an interesting take before we came on air, and I'll throw it to you, mate, in terms of what some of your thoughts are.
Yeah, as I said, I watched bits and pieces of the game. I haven't had a chance to watch it all. I had a 4-hour drive today, and then I let the wife drive for a bit while I watched a couple of, mainly the last quarter on my phone. One thing I've noticed is a knack that the Niners have of playing an opposition quarterback into form. You can have, I don't know why, and you can be playing a quarterback who's just totally down on his luck, and then he comes and plays us, and all of a sudden, bang, oh man, I know what I'm doing now. So I don't know that. Yeah, I agree with the thing. I thought there was a lack of creativity, and having not seen the earlier, I didn't see the first quarter at all, so I didn't see any of the highlights as such when we were playing well. But towards the back end, I just thought there was nothing there. And as I have you alluded to, what I was going to say is the Niners seem to struggle against teams that they should beat. They play really well when they're taking on teams that they're their rivals or teams that are higher up than them. But when they come to teams that they should beat, they seem to lose their wheels. And is that an attitude thing that they're just turning up, going, "Oh, we got this game in the bag," and just trying to go through the motions, and it isn't working. And then they've got no way of changing it. You can't do that. This is a sport where each week you need to change the way you play, and they're not doing that. They're just going that two-dimensional. That's it. This is what we're going to do. I agree. I don't know why we would have abandoned the run today, and moving towards next week. And I watched the Rams this morning. Both them and the Cardinals, I felt, struggled with the run game in the defense. So we have to go back to that. We really need to start working that up the center, because they all not long runs, but they were just always making the yards, always just building it downfield, both teams. So I think that's a positive for us if we can get our run game going better, but we need to run more than we did today. 19's not enough.
19 is what you'd expect from, I was going to say Lamar Jackson, but I was going to say from Patrick Mahomes. 19 is what you expect from Justin Herbert. 19 is what you expect from, I know that Josh Allen runs a little bit more, but he's a passer of the football more than they're a passing football team.
Yeah.
But when you take the fact that so tonight in perfect conditions at Mile High, 1 from 10 when Trey in a monsoon went 8 from 17 third downs. He did better in a monsoon. So why is Jimmy the savior? So let's go down to the next thing, and I'll let you kick off, Rod. Who do you think was worse in this game? Do you think it was Jimmy, or do you think it was Kyle? Do you think it was a combination of both? There's a lot of debate on Twitter, that it's Jimmy that was garbage. It was not on Kyle. Kyle was calling open, calling out. He was calling plays that had play. The receivers open. What do you think?
Well, I'm leaning towards it being on Kyle based on this fact alone. He knows what Jimmy's like. He knows Jimmy's limitations, and he still continues. Like today, even when we didn't see the best version of Jimmy. After he came out of the first quarter, he was missing targets, fumbles.
Rod, just stop for a sec, mate. There's a bit of bang. Is there someone got?
Yeah, hang on. Give me 2 seconds while I yell at my kids.
All right.
Guys, shut up with the drums.
See, viewers, this is what happens when you're doing your best and you got young kids at home. So go, Rod. Sorry.
So I come back to the fact that, Kyle still designed the game plan today by going away from the run, as we alluded to before, and putting Jimmy in the pocket. And particularly when in that final drive, when we were only a point behind and we had 4 minutes to drive the ball up the field with a bloke who's averaging over 6 yards a carry, and Mason, and we didn't see Marlon Mack once in the run game. Plus, you've got Debo on a jet sweep. We didn't see a lot of that today. Ayuk can jet sweep. Like, I just didn't think what we saw on that final drive. All we had to do was get it down to the 35, and we're in field goal range.
No, I wasn't trying to hit you.
We had 4 minutes to do that.
And that's the thing, right? We had, you're right, mate. We're, it's live. We've got families and all that sort of stuff. That's what happens. We're at Mile High. You saw the guy kick it from 57, 58. Robbie Gold doesn't really hit him he doesn't like hitting them from longer than 45 or 50. Cole had no hesitation in sending him out. One of the things, what I thought was the beginning of the end for this game was when Kyle declined that penalty. Remember when we had that holding penalty and we had the
I
choice,
saw that.
to go back and send him back for like a 1st and 18 or something like that, and put our faith, Kyle put his faith in his personnel, in his team, in D'Amico Ryans. He chose not to and let them punt. Why not just send them back? Sorry, not let them punt, let them kick a field goal.
Yeah.
That gave them a sniff. And all Russell Wilson needs is a sniff. And he just takes exactly what he needs. And look, that the other thing too is the coach, Hastings, I forget his name, but he's got a dad that was in the in the coaching ranks before him. He's the worst coach in the NFL. He was outcoached. He outcoached Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
There were so many decisions today. Again, there was a 4th and 2 where I thought he could have gone for it. He didn't go for it. He's just playing negative. I think he did in some circumstances. Like Jimmy stared down in one instance in the first half. In one instance in the first half, I think we're on our 40-meter line, our 40-yard line, and he stared down Debo, who was open on busted coverage, and didn't go to him.
I saw it.
Yeah.
Not going near him. I'll go to someone else. And because in that first drive, our slants and our dig routes and those little things over the middle were working, the D coordinator just went, okay, look, we just got to fill the box. We'll just fill the box and make him throw further downfield. And he couldn't. And then Kyle could have gone, okay, let's go back to the run then.
Yeah.
Let's get them pushing up. Let's get the linebackers pushing right up so we can get back into that, over the middle a little bit more. Kittle was targeted 5 times. He may be injured. What is he? A glorified blocker now? I'm in two minds. I think both of them have to. It's trending on Twitter. Jimmy and Kyle. That combination is toxic to our organisation. It hasn't been in the past, because it has got us to situations where we've been successful. But are we going off too early? Are we saying, okay, this is the end? It's week 3. We'll throw ourselves off the cliff. And next week when we play the Rams, which we've got a good record with, and as you've alluded to, Scott, the fact that we do get up for harder opponents, we win that by 20 or 13 or 7. Tonight's forgotten.
2.
Yeah, wherever we beat them by, tonight's forgotten. Maybe that's a good thing, and that's the great thing. It's 1 week is a long time in football, right? Any given Sunday, when you see the Jags, what they did to the Bolts, and Miami winning. But that's the other thing I wanted to mention. Mike McDaniel has gone to the Dolphins, and look what the Dolphins are doing.
Yeah.
Carl's creativity is gone.
Yeah. McDaniel's calling 4th and 8 and running the ball on 4th and 8. But
how do you feel as a team? He believes in me.
Yeah. Mind you,
I want to play for that guy.
He's got some weapons down there.
Oh, absolutely.
So boy.
What do you reckon, Scott?
I just don't think he believes in Jimmy. So
no.
I don't think 4th and 8. I don't know how I'd be going with him. So there's a couple of things. I mean, I guess something that we haven't really touched on, and I'm not using it as an excuse, and I'm not here giving Jimmy the green light and everything, but he's just come back from his injury too, so he's still rusty. We all know that there is a limitation there, and he's not going to go any further than that limitation. But he's that part of it. No, he's still trying to get his arm back. But I mean, we know last year he didn't have that crash out either. But, I hope that he can bounce back and bring it back to the Rams next week. And I've already alluded on what I thought about Kyle. I thought his plays were pretty negative. I thought a lot of it was negative. I think sometimes you need to take risks, but we just don't seem to be that team that wants to do it.
No.
I think, boys, at the end of the day, being pragmatic, Kyle is not going to go anywhere. He's not going to get sacked unless we go on a horrible losing streak. So we're in the position we are with Jimmy because of injury. and we have to ride with him because we've got no one else. So that's the pure fact of it.
Yep. And that's what I don't like the talk of but Trey wouldn't have done that or Trey wouldn't have, who cares? He's not there.
Yeah,
so we can't dwell on that. That's something for next year. So I think we just need to move on with what we got and go from there.
There was some talk. There was some talk of Cam Newton, Tyrod Taylor, Gardner Minshew. What are your thoughts on those quarterbacks?
Well, Cam's shoulder's terrible.
Yeah.
And Gardner Minshew, I'd rather run with Jimmy. He knows the offense and he knows the locker room. And who was the other bloke? Tyrod Taylor.
Yeah. Another
bloke who's washed out of a couple of clubs. And is probably a better backup than he is a starter. So I'd rather run with what we've got.
Okay.
Likewise.
All right. Last topic, guys. Where to from here? So we've got the Rams next week. Do you think that Jimmy will get the shade from the national media that is deserving of what he put up today?
Yes.
You think he will? Do you think the national media will rip him?
I think he laid an egg, and it's primetime telly, primetime TV, and he was terrible. Particularly that safety. There was on the commentary they were talking about Dan Orlovsky, the ESPN guy, and he was the last one to do it. And that's sort of
I like his comment too.
Pardon?
I like his comment.
Yeah. He tweeted out that he's now got friends.
Freedom.
He now he's joined the club or something. Yeah. But things like that. I think you're making mistakes like that. I think how inaccurate he was tonight. I think they'll go after him.
I hope so. I really hope so. That's the I just want to see some fairness across the board, across the media. But I mean, how are we going to get better? So is Jimmy going to miraculously, grow and get used to the offense?
No, he's not. But he's hot and cold. He always has been. He needs to put some games together. He needs to put some sets together, which he hasn't done yet. Next week we're looking at, is Trent Williams going to be good? Who knows? So there's your number one issue.
They reckon it's 4 weeks, Scotty.
Okay, well then, yeah. So that's trouble. Number two, you've got Aaron Donald, you got Jalen Ramsey, you got all these guys that are going to be pounding on him. So it's going to be a big test for him. Does that bring the best out in him, or does that make him do what he normally does and go back into his shell?
So based on that, right? So it has to be, and we are we keep pounding the table on this, but the only way we can win it is by toting the rock. That's all we can do. We
run the ball, and don't abandon it. Don't go away from it.
Don't use Deebo Samuel.
No,
he got bashed, right? And then he's on the ground, and we thought, oh no, here we go, he's gone. Yeah. Nice, Kyle. And then the last play before halftime, let's do it again.
Yeah,
he's got.
I said to the other night, I love him on that jet sweep, on that end around.
Yeah.
And did we see one tonight?
No,
because even if you know it's coming, his body and his size and his strength and his power means that once he can get round the corner, he can still get 3 or 4 yards once he's round the corner. Even if you can read the play and know what's coming, his power game can still make yards after he gets contact.
When he comes off that corner, he's got so much velocity, so much power. He gets so low. You're 100% right. Even if Jimmy could say, "Hey, we're running the jet sweep with Deebo." They could, and would still make 5 or 6 yards.
Yep.
The fact is, he's running against an outside linebacker or a cornerback or a safety. He's not running into these beasts like Aaron Donald, etc. So I think the only way we win next week is that split it up between Jordan and JWJ. You know, they're going to be they'll fill that box like there's no tomorrow to ensure that Jimmy doesn't have those smaller, and he's just going to have to throw it when he does get the opportunity to throw. Kyler's going to have to design some plays that allow some people to get open, like so, and because there were people open today, and he's got to hit them. He's just got to hit them.
Absolutely.
No, agree with that. I think I was going to make a point there. Now I can't remember what it was. No, if we stick to the run game, the opportunities out wide will show up, and we're not talking the long ball down, right down the field. But Brendan Ayuk will find himself loose. Debo will find himself loose. Kittle may even find himself. Like, how many times was he targeted today? I don't think I hardly saw him at all.
Yeah, one Jennings was targeted twice. One sailed. One hit him.
Yeah. So. Yep.
Just a question. So if we have a 6-10 season, do you think Kyle will be sacked?
No. And I'll tell you why, because it was meant to be Trey's season, and
that'll be his excuse.
That'll be his reason that we brought in our second string quarterback, and we look what we've done. We've had 6 wins. I mean, we're not a 6-10 side, Pete. We're a 10-6 side, or 10.
That's right. We're 10-7. Yeah,
we're a 10-win side. We should be winning, and we've now got to win 9 games. 9 games of the 14 that are left, so we can only have an opportunity to drop 5.
Well, let's do a quick look at that, boys. Let's have a look at that. So next week we've got the Rams. Are we going to say that's a win?
Not based on tonight.
All right, so that's a loss. So we're now at 1-3.
But Scotty's filled me with renewed confidence.
All right, week 5, we've got the Panthers. Let's say that's a win. That's 2-3.
Going by my philosophy, they'll probably lose that one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Then we've got the Falcons. We don't usually win that game. But let's on the safe side, being optimists, let's say we get back to 500, 3-3. Week 7, we've got the Kansas City Chiefs. We're going to get beat. 3-4. LA Rams again.
I think we split one with the Rams.
Okay, so that's now we're 3-5. Sorry. Okay, no, sorry. Now we're back to 4-4. 4-5. Sorry.
Week 9's bye.
Week 9's bye.
Chargers. At home.
Yep. Let's say now we're at 4-6.
We should beat them.
Cardinals. 5-6.
Yep.
Saints.
We should beat them.
Yep. For fair dinkum, we should.
6-6. Then we've got to win out. Dolphins.
Wow.
Dolphins, and we're 6-6, and we've got to beat the Dolphins, the Buccaneers, the Seahawks, which we will, the Washington Commanders, which we will, the Raiders, which we might not, and then we
should beat them.
No,
they're a cluster.
Yeah, they are. And then we've got I think we've got the Cardinals again. So it's going to be tough from here, right? Tough.
Yeah, but 10 wins should do it. To every side that won 10 times last year made the playoffs.
And plus our our division isn't looking too flash either.
No, not at all.
Oh, yeah. All right, gents. Well, look.
Just before we go, Pete,
Yes,
I think what we saw today was I think we yesterday in the preview, I think we underestimated the Broncos' defense.
Yeah, I agree.
A lot. And they came out, and I think what we saw today was two quarterbacks doing their best against two very good defenses. And, the score was indicative of that.
Yeah.
And, they just had to try and manufacture points and plays where they can because the pass rush was on and the pressures was on all the time. And, so I think the defense today on both sides are very good. And I think we didn't acknowledge that last night.
No, because they only let 18 points from the per game for the last two games. It was against the Seahawks and the Houstons, but still not a huge amount that they were letting be, scored against. But again, saying this stuff, guys, with one of the best players in football, Trent Williams being out for 4 weeks, I guess we just got to brace ourselves. We just got to, I think sometimes. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. Wait, no, go. Sorry, cut you off.
Sometimes it was like last year. I mean, Kyle does start slow, right? And as much as I don't like him, maybe the pressure will get him to have a real good look at himself.
Is Daniel Brunskill back?
No.
He won't be back?
No, I don't know if he'll be back next week, but he's not. Definitely not. We didn't have Eric Armstead. Hopefully we'll have him back next week.
Yeah. Yeah, he's got a foot injury. Nathaniel Hackett was the bloke you were thinking of, their coach.
Nathaniel Hackett. Now, Who did we mention last night that should have had a big game that didn't really have a big game in the defense?
Today?
Yeah.
We said Kinlaw needed to really aim up.
He did, and you see Donald today sort of scraping for a shoelace on Kyler Murray, but he's like Kinlaw was like a meter away from Wilson and didn't dive. I mean, come on, that's what it's going to take. All right, boys. Look, let's try and be positive on a very, very sour note of a game. It was embarrassing. I cannot wait to see what happens tomorrow in the media. Chris Sims and his mates and Mike Florio and Colin Coward and all the boys saying that, they're a win now team and they're going to be better with Jimmy Garoppolo. But what we saw tonight did not augur well for that narrative. Any final thoughts?
Scotty?
Stay positive.
Stay positive.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's it from us here at the Niners DNA team down here in Sydney, Australia. It's now 8:03 p.m. on the Monday night. Looking forward to all the media reactions from the US overnight. Good night, gentlemen, and we will see you very, very, very soon. Good night.
Night.